Welcome to the show. I'm Scott Thompson.
And I'm Ashley Blackford.
How's it going today, Ashley?
It's good. How are you?
Doing just great.
Wonderful.
Our guest today is Dustin Ross. He's an OOIDA senior member. He first kind of fell on our radar because he was featured in a recent article that NPR put out. Actually, it's Boston NPR station, WBUR. The reporter did a great job of putting together kind of a picture of the freight recession and all of the problems that are contributing to it. Had a number of people. Andrew King, OOIDA Foundation Director, was quoted in it. Louis Pugh, Executive Vice President of OOIDA, was in there as well. Dustin did a great job, I think, explaining the challenges that he's facing, the struggles that others that he knows are facing. He talked about his best friend at one point, about how they really struggled and actually exited the industry because of all the problems that are out there. So we thought, hey, let's reach out to Dustin as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk to him about what he's seeing out there, what he's dealing with, get some advice for folks who are dealing with the same things. He's also got, I know he's taking part in truck shows.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a beautiful truck.
Drag racing, a number of things.
Yeah.
So this is a great conversation from Dustin Ross, OOIDA senior member, again, talking about a bunch of stuff. Let's have a listen. What are you up to today? Where are you?
I am at my house in Robertsdale, Alabama. I just finished unloading this morning. Had my inbound load this go around was a load of pallets going to a local sod farm. So unloaded that and then came back and we got a local truck show over in Mobile this coming weekend. So I'm getting my getting my truck and trailer ready for that. Started about a week ago with the show prep and whatnot. So and figure use the rest of today and most of tomorrow for it. So
what's the show?
It's the Mobile Highway Outlaws. The gentleman Brant Arnold puts it on. I think this is the third or fourth year he's done it now, and they do drag racing for the working trucks. And this year they also are doing the Big Rig Outlaw series, like the circle track racing. And that's they got a track over there for that just the same. And this year, basically just typical trophies you get everywhere else. Combo, bobtail, interior, best paint, all that good stuff. So I'm hoping this go around to bring home some hardware for the combo trophy. But it'll be difficult, but hopefully with some good luck, I'll make it happen. So
you said about a week ago you started show prep. What goes into show prep? How do you get ready for a truck show?
For me, at least, it's I'll start with doing everything between under the hood, under the chassis, just wiping grease, grime, whole 9 yards, interiors of the aluminum rims and whatnot, and then because that's always the most difficult. And then if I see stuff that I might have missed when I do my weekly maintenance, I'll tidy stuff up, whether zip ties or needing to put wire loom on certain categories, and then basically from there, I'll just start. I do sections at a time with paint correction. I do a 3-step process on it. And then once I have that all said and done, I'll spend a day going back over it with a coat of wax. And then after that, it's on to doing all the aluminum. And then when I bring my trailer with me, then I get started on the trailer. And that's always, the trailer's always been the time-consuming part. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us about your truck. And I think I've actually maybe seen it. I think you were featured in Overdrive. I can't remember when, but was that you?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
2000 Sterling.
I was featured in it.
Yeah.
That would have been, I want to say 2 years ago.
Okay.
Just over 2 years ago. And Matt Cole did the article on it. So
nice.
It's a 2000 Sterling built September 25th of 1999. And it's got 2.7 million miles on it at this point. And
wow.
I've owned it for the last 13 and a half years now. So, and I've done about 1.5 million, 1.6 million on it, just in my time frame of owning it. So,
wow.
And it's a working truck, obviously, that you're entering in these shows. I think you mentioned you were hoping to bring back maybe a combo award. Have you won awards with the truck elsewhere?
This show show last year, I won a small plaque. I call it more like a participation trophy, but just for I think Brant gave them out to basically like the 10 runner-up guys, and figure between and that time I didn't bring my trailer with me. I did just the truck, but between that, keeping everything nice and cleaned up, and then doing the drag racing, ended up taking second in that. So it just I think that helped a little bit for obtaining a plaque at least. So, but other shows I've gone to in the past, I've been up to the Gear Jammer one that Bob Conrad puts on a couple of times, and I mean that's awfully difficult to try to get anything Sterling related to compete with the big Peterbilts and Kenworths. But
Sure.
I get a lot of looks and a lot of compliments. So, but never walk away with any hardware. But I always learn from it. So, and that's that to me is knowledge is everything with it. So, because that's going to last a lot longer than an award that eventually is going to get put off to the side and collected with dust. So,
well, the journey is a reward, right? I mean, putting all the work into it. It sounds like you've put a lot of work into it over the years, and I think if I remember right, your truck has a name. I think is it Stella? Am I remembering that right?
Yes, correct. I gave it the name Stella. It just came to me one day. Wasn't even planning on anything. I just was walking towards it and continuously see the Sterling emblem, and it's like
okay.
Stella. It's like that goes hand in hand with it. So
She was talking to you.
Yeah, pretty much so. And she's kept that name ever since. So
Nice. What is it about truck shows? I mean, obviously you like, showing off your truck, but what is it about truck shows that keeps you, going to those?
For me at this point, it's more getting to meet people, learning more, whether industry related stuff in different aspects, getting to see other trucks and whatnot, and then just making new friends or getting to catch up with people that I might only see once a year. So, because at least in my case with my operation, I mainly stay within Alabama and the Southeast. So, and most all my friends in the trucking industry are either Northeast or Midwest. So it's for me, it's also a good chance to be able to go and visit with everybody, spend a couple of days, and especially too when I go to a bunch of the ones up in the Northeast, I get to go see my friends from college and whatnot, and
Nice.
See their families. So it's kind of you get kind of get to get a lot of stuff done in a little bit of time. So.
Can you explain, Dustin, this the drag racing part of this? Because to me, I don't know. Maybe I don't quite understand. I understand the appeal of drag racing, but putting this, putting Stella, we'll give her just dues here. Putting Stella through that, it's like, to me, and again, this is probably just my personality, but to me, I'm like, I wouldn't want to put that stress on Stella, but obviously it's a really fun thing to do. But I don't know. Do you ever have that battle, or I guess what's the appeal of that for you?
Yes, I was reluctant on doing it, and a friend of mine goes by the nickname of Wagon Wheel. He's seen me over the years, between building my truck and whatnot, and he's the one who talked me into it. And really, his thing at the end of the day was, if something's going to break, it's going to break regardless. And, whether it's a Saturday or a Monday, where are you going to find Sterling parts? And there is some, humor and truth to that, because sometimes it is difficult to find it. But and that kind of, that made me realize, all right, I can, I've done a good job so far with building the truck. I've rebuilt the motor and everything, and I've got a lot of extra stuff on it that most people typically wouldn't have, and definitely it's not something that you'd be able to get away with doing professionally, but at least for doing small stuff like this, I thoroughly enjoy and get to have fun, and especially with just getting to go out there and try and do a couple of different things and see what works, what doesn't work, and then really just get to push my own my own skill level to the test at the same time. So
push those boundaries.
Exactly.
Can we talk about Wagon Wheel? What's
What's the story there?
There's got to be a story there.
Well, so the rumor has it that when he was a kid, he always was dragging a wagon, and it had one wheel that always creaked, and everybody just called him Wagon Wheel because they knew when it was him coming up. So whether or not that's the actual truth, I'm not 100% sure, but that's what he had said, and all the years I've known him, that's what everybody's always called him. So
that's his story, and he's sticking to it, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great nickname,
So it's fitting. So he's he's a character. So and it fits him very well. So
Well, they say the squeaky wheel gets the
Grease.
grease.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, shout out to Wagon Wheel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned that Stella's a working gal. What can you talk a little bit about your operation and what she does from Monday to Friday?
Yes. Now I mainly do open deck work. I pull a flatbed doing. My outbound is all aluminum based, whether it be I call them ingots, but it's a remelt secondary ingot. And they basically, the local facility by me, recycled material comes in, they melt it down, put it into the shape of a block, and then I'll bring it out to different aluminum manufacturers. Mostly it's like coil plants and whatnot, and then they'll turn around and they'll remelt that into a coil, or some of them will do engine blocks and transmissions and things of that nature. So that's 90% of my outbound, and then with them, when that slows down, I'll do whether super sacks or briquettes, which are also like a bigger piece of charcoal is what I kind of refer to it as, and that goes to other steel mills, and what they use those for is their their furnace. Basically, they just have a little crane that picks up the sack, and then all the the briquettes just go right in, and that's what keeps all those steel mills going for the hot rolled steel coils. So, but that lately now has been my outbound. So, and then inbound is just steel, lumber, pallets. I mean, pretty much whatever I can get my hands on these days. So,
yeah. And this is a family business, right? I mean, you kind of grew up in this.
Yes, sir. My father started it. He's been I think he's been trucking since 1986, and then he started this in 2002, I believe, 2002, 2003 range, and then it was mainly him up until I started driving in 2011. He had two other owner-operators that were leased on right around the same time, and back then we always did furniture. There used to be a local furniture manufacturer up in Bay Minette, Alabama, and they closed up operations shortly after COVID. But he was contracted with them, and we do roughly 30 to 40 stops a week going up to the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and then eventually it went from Baltimore, Maryland, all the way up to Boston, Massachusetts. We'd between mom and pop stores, and then pretty much every rent-a-center on the East Coast we've more than likely been to at one point or another. So, and that was the most fun I think I've ever had trucking. I did that for 2011 till 2020, and I spent probably 6-8 months running reefer, doing frozen seafood. I did LTL with that for a little bit just because we had 5 trucks doing the furniture. So figure I'll go try something else out, and that didn't last as long. So I really the grocery warehouses I used to have to go to, just as with everybody, it wears on you over time. So but then basically since we lost the furniture contract with them closing up, I spent a little bit of time bouncing around. My father, just the same, he dabbled in other stuff, and then he did he still does it now, oversized work with concrete poles. They're another local place up in Bay Minette, Alabama, and I did that with him for a little over a year, and then it just it got to where taking my truck off-roading and a mile or two out into the woods on logging trails just was not my cup of tea, and I figured Stella's a pavement princess, and I wanted to stay that way, so I decided to try something new with the open deck, and
Yeah.
it's been a learning experience to say the least. So
Yeah. How so? What's been the biggest challenge?
For me, the biggest challenge has just been the freight. Outbound, I've not had any issues with it. I got lucky because back in February, I had a list of 30 different potential customers, I'll call it, and out of everybody I called and emailed, these people. The lady Nikki was like, yeah, we're always looking for somebody local. Cool, no problem. So she gave me an opportunity, and she keeps me busy every week. So, and I got no complaints on that. And then it's just always the inbound. Depending on what area I go to, it always ends up being difficult trying to get back to the Gulf Coast. So, and usually I'll spend a lot of time having to deadhead to different areas, and at the same time, you're also, you got 15, 20 trucks that are trying to compete for one load coming back because, a lot of other people down around here do lumber. So, and just being new to the whole open deck aspect, not having the knowledge with the different, contacts depending on, lumber mills and steel mills and whatnot. But slowly, as every week goes on, I learn a little more, keep my little notebook handy, and people I talk to, write stuff down, and it's been getting better. So, but it's obviously, I know I'm not the only one that struggles with it, but
Sure.
Sometimes it feels like it's an uphill battle. So
Yeah, got to be agile.
Is trucking something you knew like early on that this is what you wanted to do, or when did the passion come for that?
yes, I remember being in grade school, first, second grade, and having more or less kind of grew up in a truck, and I knew that's always what I wanted to do, but everybody else around me was like, oh, there's so many other things you can do. And so I tried. I went to college, went to Binghamton University, and then I ran track for them, and I studied mechanical engineering. And basically, when I finished up with that, I realized that going to an office and wearing a suit and tie was nothing I really wanted to do. I knew I just wanted to drive a truck. Now, I didn't understand the owner-operator side of things and whatnot. I kind of, with my father's company, I tried not to pay too much attention because I didn't want to just make it seem like, oh, you're just going to, being family related, you walk right in, get everything handed to you. But, I went through with doing the local schooling after I got done with college to get my Class A, and then a team drove with him for a little over a year and learned everything. And then after that was when I bought Stella, and I've been leased on ever since. And now pretty much run it like it's my own company, more or less, at least on the flatbed side of things. So, and then but it's been a fun journey, and definitely more than what I ever expected. And I had no idea that there was so much that the trucking industry has to offer. As long as you keep an open mind with things. So
I have to assume, I would imagine that you and your father are pretty close. I mean, being a team driver with him for a year, that could be a recipe for maybe not disaster for a lot of folks, but a recipe for a lot of headbutting. I assume it sounds like you get along pretty well with your father. Was he pretty open to you kind of joining him in this endeavor?
Yeah, he was he was thrilled for me to want to join him. I didn't even expect it at first, and I had an application put in for a local company out of Binghamton, New York, Willow Run Foods, and when he realized that there was the potential for more work with the furniture was when he told me, well, let me get with OOIDA and make sure that they give you the green light, and then you just work for me for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's like so, and that everything with that worked great, and I knew in the beginning, I'm green, so basically you kind of keep your mouth closed and your ears open and just kind of learn everything, and make sure you put your time in on it, and then once pretty much once we stopped team driving was when, I realized, okay, let's get a couple more trucks going. More trucks meant more trailers, and let's keep trying to grow on and expand and whatnot. And it a couple of times, butted heads, and even now, like, we'll still butt heads every once in a while because I'll want to do things one way, and then obviously he's been doing it longer, so he wants to do things his own way.
Mm-hmm.
So, but either way, we still always come to understandings, and we nice and close. Because I know some people that work with family, it's awfully difficult. So,
Yeah.
but it definitely, it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. So, I mean, you gotta you got to be able to know when to be able to separate the two, and that's always the hard part for a lot of people. So
sure, yeah, it makes sense. We first became aware of you, I think, because you were interviewed for a piece about the freight recession that Boston's NPR station WBUR put together. And you've got a few quotes in there, and it's an extensive article. I mean, it's massive and talks to quite a few people, including a couple people here at OOIDA. How did they find you, I suppose, for that article?
The way it all went down was Narita Taylor had sent out an email to me, and I replied back to her, and then she reached out. I want to say it was probably 2-3 weeks later, and I had a phone call with her for, I'd say, probably 5-7 minutes, and then she had said that the gentleman with NPR was going to reach out. I didn't realize it was going to be that same day, and it worked out well. So, because I had just finished with getting fuel and pulled up out of the way, and then see my phone going off, and realized, okay, well, let's take this now, because figure while I got cell service, because noticed lately with Verizon, cell service running down the road is pretty spotty. So, and what I thought would only have just been a couple minute conversation turned into, I think we spent at least 30 minutes on the phone. So, and I really, I wasn't expecting it, in all honesty. The whole thing just kind of caught me by surprise. So, and more than thankful for that opportunity, because I mean, obviously now it led to me being able to talk to the both of you and all this. So, and it's definitely something that not everybody gets a chance to. So,
well, yeah, I mean, you're definitely moving up in the world, Dustin. I mean, talking to us, so you're welcome, I guess.
I appreciate that.
No, joking, obviously.
One of the things you told the reporter was that your business is humming along, but you're continuing to see some troubling signs. You also talked about your best friend and his struggles. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes.
Is it Wagon Wheel?
No, this is another friend.
Do they have a nickname?
We call him Boudreaux. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Boudreaux, but his real name's Jason. So, but he just does he's always lived in the South, and he does a funny Cajun accent when he starts telling jokes and whatnot. So, and
Love it.
so it just fits perfectly. So, but it's actually it's interesting that you bring that up, because I was just talking to my wife about it the other day, because his father started their trucking company prior to deregulation, and they'd been around, I guess that would have been in the early 70s when they first got started, and they were up to 100 trucks at one point in time. And it dawned on me, they were able to withstand the economy collapse back in 2008, and they kept all their trucks going and whatnot. And I just find it interesting that now, with how things are, and when you compare, it doesn't make it seem like it's as bad. But when you have, businesses that were able to stick around back then and now are folding up left and right, it definitely, it put things in perspective. And in his case, they, much like with a lot of other companies, it just, lack of freight, and, got to where, the overhead was just catching up to them, and it was just easier just to close up doors than it was to try to keep digging out. So, because they could just see month to month, you have more going out than coming in, and it just wasn't sustainable. Because back then when it first started, which would have been, I'm guessing 3-4 years ago, everything was like, okay, how long are we going to hold on for? And here we are a couple years later, and nothing was getting better in their case. So it was very unfortunate, and especially for as long as they'd spent over there at the shop they had was a nice, 4-bay shop, 2 wash bays and whatnot. And it was just disheartening, I think is the best word for it. So, and especially being, a close friend of mine, that really kind of hit home. And now he just turns wrenches now. He didn't even want to get back into trucking. So I was going to have him lease on and work with me for a little bit. And it just, I think for him, his heart really wasn't in it anymore. And I could see that, you do the same thing for so long and then find out that, you can no longer, afford to keep going. So it definitely, that was a disappointment on it. So, and especially being so close to home, but at least he's doing better now. He's a lot happier with what he's doing. So, and at least he's home every night. So,
yeah, that's good. I mean, perspective is important.
For sure.
As we all kind of look at this freight recession, and the reporter did a good job, I think, of outlining, just what the issues are and how it's affecting people. And obviously you were part of that conversation and the story there. You did tell them that you and your company haven't really been affected, I think, too badly, I think you told them. And I'm going to assume, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm going to assume it's because you've got kind of this specialized corner. But again, it kind of speaks to having to be agile as conditions change or worsen or don't get better. It's a challenge even for folks like yourself right now.
Oh, absolutely. And you definitely, you got to be able to keep an open mind with it all and being able to, like you said, being agile with it. And if you can't, a lot of times, be able to think on your feet, then, I do believe that you'll end up going by the wayside. And I know I'd mentioned it a couple of times to the gentleman at NPR that the biggest thing is just mentally being strong and just keeping a positive outlook with, regardless of how it comes out. Because, I'm fortunate that I've got a local customer and that, she, treats me very well and always makes sure that, I've got something before she hands out loads to anybody else. And it, that definitely helps. But if it was to where how most other people are, where they don't have that, either direct customer or relationship built with, a broker or other shippers and whatnot, then I imagine, it'd be a major struggle, all things considered.
Dustin, I mean, you talked about this in the article a little bit, but we look at numbers all day. We see rates kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. We see, problems with volume and overcapacity. And, we see all these metrics on paper in black and white that tell us things are bad out there. And we've been talking for years now. It feels like longer, but for years now about we're going to get out of this. This is a cycle. We're almost out of the cycle. Things are going to take off any day now. And we keep saying that and keep waiting and waiting and waiting. Just from your perspective out there, are you seeing any signs that things are about to turn or things are about to get better? I guess my question is, what are you seeing out there that maybe encourages you? Or you seem like an optimistic guy, but are you encouraged, discouraged by what you're seeing out there?
That's a loaded question. And
yeah, good luck. Yeah.
It definitely when I see the metrics that get put out and especially like I know the one thing I saw was Truck Stop had put their national averages out, and it's I know them and everybody else has a lot more data than what I have, and I know it just me personally on my firsthand experience, I don't see a lot of the volume aspect. Now outbound wise, and I can speak solely for the Southeast on it because I see it every day almost. There's load board wise, there's a lot of volume, but realistically, you might have 15 brokers trying to push out one load, and I see it a lot with my customer just the same. They'll only have one available load to a broker, but they'll list it 6 or 7 times to make it look like there's more volume in a sense. And I'm sure for them too, it's also try to drum up more phone calls. But I know rate wise for outbound, it helps being on a contracted rate. So when things go up and then eventually come back down, I've been able to maintain the same. But the couple different areas that I run to, and it's kind of all across the board. I mean, I'll do Western Kentucky, Charleston, South Carolina, Cleveland, Ohio, and then Central Indiana. And each time I always end up having to do like a 250-mile radius of where I end up just to try to find something coming back, not even towards the house, but just down to the Gulf Coast. And I don't ever remember it being that way. And I know too, like in previous years, it used to be that at least with the flatbed, you could always bounce to some form of a lumber mill or a sawmill. I know for a while my father used to load out of I believe it's Huber up in Tennessee. I believe they're just outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And now when deal with the guy that runs the operations in there, almost every week, he says he has nothing. So used to be the ISO tanks you could get out of Charleston, South Carolina, coming back to basically New Orleans, and most of those now, Boaso just has their own trucks doing it. So, and I know those are only 2 examples, but just in general, based on the areas that I run and trying to use, what contacts that I might have before I hit a load board, it's just very slim. And even in talking to local companies, when I'll bring lumber back or something like that, they'll a load of lumber, what used to they'd go through in a week, they'll now sit on for 3 to 4 weeks before they end up needing something else. So so it definitely, I mean, that whole area does make it more difficult. And it is interesting because at times I've pulled my dry van just to change things up some, and I'll see whether better rates with the dry van or more volume, and then it's like it gives you a glimmer of hope that which I feel like much like you said, it's been going on for a handful of years now, where it's things are going to get better, and then it lasts for a very short term before it just goes right back to you kind of looking. It's almost like you're sitting out in the desert and a tumbleweed comes rolling by. So and that's the I think that's about the best way I can kind of put it. So you're sitting there hoping that something's going to show up, and it's just a matter of not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when at this point. So and hoping, I'm amazed it's gone on this long. So
hoping for an oasis, but turns out it's just a mirage again.
Yeah, exactly.
You had some great advice earlier that I want to ask you about, and I wonder if you can kind of expand on it, and then maybe if you've got other advice for folks out there who are navigating the same world that you got or that you're going through right now. But you mentioned the relationship that you have and people kind of looking out for you and taking care of you and making sure that you've got something before they start to, look elsewhere. Can you talk about that, the importance of, again, building relationships and getting those networks kind of working? And then again, what other advice do you have for folks out there who are listening and maybe they're grasping too? What would you say to them?
Yes, with the relationship aspect, at least for me, the biggest hurdle is just the initial phone call, because you almost like are preconditioned to think that whoever picks up the phone is going to say no, and then that's it. And realizing that A, not everybody's going to say no, and B, it helps as long as you can conduct yourself in a professional manner. Every time when I make a phone call to a new prospective customer, I always try to write out whatever I'm going to say first, so this way I'm not stumbling over my words, and then this way. It sets the tone, and it allows them to, have a good faith that you are going to take better care of their product than who might already be there. And it helps too, asking what they would ideally need covered, what they have the hardest time with. And from there, like I can use my main customer as the example that, I told her I'd dedicate as much as I can just to get my foot in the door. So the first 2 months I would, I'd run out and I'd turn around, and if I didn't have a load back, I would just deadhead back just to get another load, just to show, hey, I'm here for the long term. I want to, I'm going to dedicate my truck to you and establish the relationship that way. So, and now it is a gamble because that could work, it might not work, and in my case, that ended up working, and it helped to, I always made sure stay in communication. If I ran into an issue, midway through the trip, I'd, text the lady and explain it to her. I've had issues before where I blew an airbag on my flatbed, and, I told her, hey, I'm not going to be able to deliver tonight. Like, can we move the delivery to tomorrow morning? Which I know for her isn't as easy because she's got to get a whole new delivery number and whatnot. But,
Right.
At least the, being honest and whatnot, that also helped drastically. So now, she, there's kind of like a mutual respect for each other at this point. So, and that's always been a hard part in general. And I know some people don't like to work with brokers. They think it's a bad word, but to me, it's necessary because, like, I have a couple friends that I used to work with when we were contracted with furniture, and they went and became brokers, and it works out great now because they can, if they got something that is within the area I'm, delivering to, they'll text me first and, hey, I've got such and such, is that anything you'd be interested in? So it's like, okay, it's like that, I'd take advantage of that all day long. So now, they know too that, if I'm picking it up, if I say, hey, I'm going to be there first thing in the morning, they know they don't have to worry about it because I'm there, when the place opens, or, if it's the case that with the dry van, for instance, if it needs to be pallet jacked, they know there's not going to be any issues with it. So it's just doing all the little things that you wouldn't really think of, but you just kind of, I guess, go above and beyond with it, and that helps with being able to establish, better relationships, and really the other thing is just being completely honest and straightforward. So, and and I know, like with my outbound customer, I've told her that hey, if you've got to drop the rate any, that's fine. It's not gonna it's not gonna be the end of the world, because I know if you got to drop it, that's because there's other factors at play. And then likewise, if stuff needs to increase, hey, let's pass it along a little bit. So, it's kind of like that one hand washes the other in a sense when it comes to stuff like that. So
yeah, that's
advice.
Excellent advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Especially as we, again, we're all in this together, trying to navigate these rocky times. And like you said, I think the little things and building those relationships really is an important step in making sure that you're weathering the storm here. Dustin, we really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
It's great talking to you. Great meeting you. Good luck at the show.
Yes, good luck.
Enjoy the drag
I do
racing.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
it's a pleasure talking to you guys.
Yeah.
So.
Say hi to Stella and Wagon Wheel for us as well.
I most certainly will. So.
All right. We appreciate it. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again soon, all right?
Yes, absolutely. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Today's episode of Trucking with OOIDA was brought to you by a dedicated team of people that includes Jim Fetzer, Tennille Flick, and Kim Boren.
You got thoughts? We'd love to hear them. You can call us at 1-800-324-6856 and leave us a message, or send us an email at podcast@ooida.com, and we might just include it on the show.